Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll show you how to create an application to get user details in a dialog box in Angular with Angular material using Web API with the help of an SQL server. So here, SQL server is a database end and Web API is used to provide data connectivity between the database and in front-end application for building RESTful services. So on the UI side, I will use Bootstrap and Angular material to create a rich, interactive, device-independent user experience so as to building a beautiful user interface. So in this example, I'll bind the user details in the table control, and there is one button, user details, which click on the user detail button. It will display the one dialog box which is built by using the Angular, and it will contain all the columns of user with all the details. And there is one close button in the dialog, so upon the click on this, so the dialog will be closed. So I'll show you in this session step by step. So guys, in this video I'll discuss few points, that is create a web API to get user details and display user detail using dialog box in Angular material, and implement Bootstrap in Angular for responsive web design. So there is a note I have made which will contain the step-by-step process. Okay, so step 1 is create a table that is called user details. So I'll go to my SQL server. So there, this is the create statement, and I have created one table. Okay, and these are the columns: user ID, user name, email ID, gender, address, mobile number, and pin code. And there is user ID is the identity column, and it is a primary key. So after creating this table, we need to add some dummy data. So these are the insert statement, that is I have created 4 records, so that is 4 ID values are inserted. ID is in 9, ID is 12, and there is 1017 and 1027. So this is all about the new table creation and insert table creation statement. So once it will be created, I need to check the data in this particular table. So these are the you can see these are the rows or data is in this table's contents. So these records we need to show in the dialog box in Angular material. So I need to close this. So step 2 is we need to add a ADO.NET entity data model. Okay, so here ADO.NET entity data model, what I'll do is I need to go to my Visual Studio. Okay, and here you can see there is one models folder, and inside I have created one ADO.NET entity data model, and it is very straightforward. So I already have discussed many times in my playlist ASP.NET Web API tutorial, where I have made ADO.NET entity data model which maps to the tables and procedures in the SQL server. So again I'll tell you the steps. So right click on the models folder, add, and there is ADO.NET entity data model. Click on this, and you can put any name. Click OK, and select as EF designer from database. Click next, and here you need to put your connection string. So click new connection. So once you click on new connection, you click on the server name. Okay, to find the server name, I'll go to my web.config or your SQL server, whatever you have. So you'll go to the SQL server first. So guys, this is the server name. I need to copy this. Go to my Visual Studio. Here I put my server name. Windows authentication. If you have a server authentication, then will provide the username password. So for this I have created using Windows authentication, no need to use username password. And the database select here, and this database SatyaDB, where I have created this table name and test connection. So test is okay, click OK here. So see here, it's the connection string. It will be added by default in your web.config file. So this is the entity name, and click next. And here it will load all your table procedures. So select the table DBO, and you need to select the user details which you have created for this session. And once created, click on finish. Okay. So once you click on finish, it will create a Satya model.edmx. So if you open this, so this is the interface. You will see the diagram one, EDMX model diagram. So it will show the user detail, and these are the related columns. So if you expand that, you will see here Satya model, and here the user details.cs, it is created by default this class file. So if you click on it, you will see all the property name has been mentioned by default when we created the edu.net entity data model. Okay, so this is the step 2. So step 3 is we need to add the API control logic for getting user detail and check the API related NuGet packages. So first of all, I'll check the NuGet packages. So click on the solution, manage NuGet package for solution. So here install, if you go, I'm coming to the install to see here there is the NuGet packages for web API. If you select here, type here web API, so see here these are the NuGet packages are required for my web API project. So you need to download and install this NuGet packages for your web API project. So I'll create a web API controller. So here I have created one API controller, user API controller, and these are the namespaces I have to add. And this is the models folder, because inside the models folder I have the edu.net entity data model, so that I need to use this namespace here, and these are the required namespaces. And these are route prefix I have used API/user, and this controller derived from the API controller base class. And the SatyaDB entities, it is instantiated, and using this object I have used the get request HTTP get and the route as get user details. And this is the iQueryable user details, and that is the get user method I have used. Inside try block I need to return using the object I have access the user details and the catch exception. So this will give us the display the list of user details along with its all the column values. So this is all about the code for user API controller.cs file. Okay. So I'll need to run my web API application here. So guys, my web API application is loading successfully. So you can see this is the port number, and this API user, it is nothing but the route which I have mentioned here, route prefix, and this is the route I need to put as using slash. So if you slash and get user detail, so using this action method I'm getting all the records of my user what you have created in during creation of your table user details. Okay, so let's go to continue with my step 4, that is install and configure an Angular material theme. Okay guys, so here in this step what I'll do is I'll go to my Visual Studio Code, which is nothing but the Angular application project. So remember guys, if you have an existing project, so I need to open another terminal here, and this is the path of my Angular project, and I need to, if it is my existing project, I need to run this this command ng-add @angular/material. So it will install your Angular material packages. And if you want to install the Angular material theme, then you need to execute this command npm install save and @angular/material, @angular/cdk, or @angular/animation if it is the complete new project. So make sure if it is successfully installed, we need to check in your node_model folder. So if you select here node_model folder, @angular, and there is, you see here, @animation is already installed, add a cdk, and there is one material, right, which is very useful for this application. So this is the material. You can see all the packages and its properties has been installed here. So you can check in this way whether these packages are installed successfully or not using node_model folder. Okay, so step 4 is completed, and step 5. Okay, so what I'll do is you just copy this command, go to here and go to your path of your Angular application project, and you just paste here and select and click on enter. So same way for this, if it is complete new project, you just copy this, go to your path and install this one. Okay, so I already have installed, and I have shown you where to check these packages in node_models folder. Let's check about the Bootstrap. So here Bootstrap I need to install for responsive. So you just copy this npm install bootstrap and go to here, and here you can add this command and execute this command. And once it's installed, same way, go to your node_model folder and you just drag here. Here you see here Bootstrap package is available under node_model folder. So these are the dist, fonts, and JS file is available of your Bootstrap. So that means Bootstrap is installed successfully for our Angular project. So let's discuss about the next point. So guys, there is one more thing we need to check in your Angular, in your package.json, that is what are the packages available, whatever the installed packages. Okay, so you see here, this is the Angular material, this is the package, it is installed, and this is the Bootstrap packages and all related packages for Angular. You can check in your package.json file. And where to implement that Bootstrap, so go to your angular.json, and in styles array you need to add this Bootstrap file, minified file of CSS. Same way on scripts section we need to add this Bootstrap JS path. So guys, here step 6 is we need to create the component. Okay, so to create the two components we need to create, one is user, another one is user detail. Okay, so this is the command ng-gc user. Same way, go to your terminal and add this command and execute. Same way for others also, ng-gc user detail. Okay, once you successfully created, you can see under in src, if you expand the apps app folder, and there is one user which is created, and along with the css html spec.ts and ts. Same way for user details, css html spec.ts and ts file. So I already have discussed the details about the Angular step by step for beginner in my playlist called Angular tutorial playlist. You can go through that and you will get the step by step process, that is what is Angular, what are the file structure of it. Okay, so next step is we need to add the service here. Okay, why is this service? The service is used for consuming the web API in your application. So this is the command ng-gs user. So go to here and add this to your terminal and execute this. Once you successfully created, you can see in app folder there is one service folder created, and there is service.ts or service.spec.ts. Okay, so guys, as per my Angular, as per my web API, whatever the response I'm getting in these column names, right? We have created this column name in my CSS, CS, that is C# Pro application, as well as in my SQL server. The same structure we need to create in our Angular application. So for this, we need to create a model class. So this model class command is ngg class user details. So same way for execute this command. Okay, once it's executed, go to your Angular application, and here you'll see user details, user.ts. Yeah, see here the ts file is created, right? User.ts, and this is the class file. So these are the column names or properties we need to add here. And we need to implement the component UI, that is user.component.html. okay, so go to here, this is step 9. So user.component.html. okay, so I'll go to here, user.component.html for users component. So let's first check the CSS. So CSS, we need to add this CSS class. So user.component.html. okay, so this is the container we need to add. This is the Bootstrap support, and the table we need to add the mat-table data source, and this is the class. And in ng container we need to add for every column name that is user ID. okay, and for ng container for username column, email ID column, and for mobile number, and for action, which contains a details button here, right? So you can see here on mat cell definition, we need to add the let element, and based on the element we can access the each column name, user ID, username, email ID, mobile number. And same way for action, there is element. So OpenID is a method which we'll discuss later, and we can pass this element value, and this is the details button name here. okay, and these are the table row, okay, which will display the selected rows with its column name values, okay, along with the details button here. So this is the code for user.component.html. Let's check about spec.ts is not required, user.component.ts, which is nothing but the functionality we need to add here for the specific user component. So these are the import statements we need to add for component, mat-table data source, user details, selection model, and user service, mat dialog config, user detail component. okay, and these are the component that is called the selector, template URL, and the style URLs. And this export class, it implements on entity interface, is a table number, total row, select as a type as a number, and the displayed columns, whatever the display columns we want, that is user ID, username, mail ID, and mobile number, and action. And this is the data source, and these are the selections, which selections we need to that is it corresponds to the user detail class. okay, and this is the constructor. Inside the constructor we need to pass this user service, which service we have created, and the mat dialog, it is service to open the material design modal dialogs. okay, and ng on init, it will be load all the data, this dot load data, and this load data method is defined here, which will describe, which will return all the datas. okay, and open dialog method is implemented here, which data is type any, and is the dialog, which will be const dialog, and it will be instantiated from material dialog config method, which will configuration of opening a modal dialog with the mat dialog service, and we need to set some properties of dialog config. Disable close true, autofocus equal true, and this position. And the same way for width, height, and dialog config, the data, the user ID equal to data.user ID, and this dot dialog open. So it will, this functionality is for when the user will click on the it is basically for the modal dialog in Angular. Okay, so it will display the modal dialog, and it's when the user will click on the details and it will open the modal dialog. So this modal dialog setup and settings has been configured here. So this is the code for user.component.ts file. So let's check my so this one also is covered, user.component.ts, to import the necessary library and add functionality. So let's discuss about step 11, that is open user-detail.component.html and open user-detail.component.ts. So guys, here this component I will discuss user component. Let's discuss about the user details component. So user details component.css, it has no CSS property. User details.component.html. So let's discuss about this. So this is the code for Angular material content, and it's a toolbar. We need to select, we need to add the opening and closing tag, and this is the table for Bootstrap, which each table header and table data, it contains the user ID columns. Okay, and username, email ID, gender, address, mobile number, pin code, and this is the on the header, on the footer of your dialog, it will contain a close button. So when the user will click on this close button, the dialog will be closed. So this is the code for user-detail.component.html. So this user-detail.component.spec.ts not required. User-detail.component.ts, this is for functionality. So guys, we need to use this import statements which contain the component, user service, and we need to import the material dialog ref and mat underscore dialog underscore data. If you put over mouse, you'll get the details. So it will reference to a dialog opened via mat dialog service, and this injection token that can be used to access that data that was passed into the dialog, and user component and user detail. So this user detail is nothing but this class file, so that path is coming from here, right? If you put over mouse, you can see the user class file path. So there is component selector, template URL, style URL for this component, and the export class which contains all the properties and all the entity names here. Same way for constructor, we need to add and pass the parameter as user service and dialog ref, and @inject, it contains the mat underscore dialog underscore data. Whatever import we have used, we need to add here as a parameter, and data is type is any. So user ID assigned to the user ID here, data.user ID, and in ng on init method we need to access the get user method and using the service, and it will be subscribed, and based on the user ID, okay, it will display all the relevant username, email ID, and gender, address, mobile number, and pin code. And this close method is used for close the dialog Angular material control. So this is the code for user-detail.component.ts. So this user-detail component is covered here. So let's discuss about the step 12 for service for consuming API. So what I'll do is I'll go to my VS Code. So see here, service folder, there is one user.service.spec.ts, it is not required. So user.service.ts, so this file is used for consuming our web API. So this is the import statements we need to add here. one is injectable, another one is observable and HTTP client, and one is user detail. So that is at the injectable. Okay, we will provide the providing as a root, and using the export class user service, there is one API URL which contains our web API URL, which is nothing but this one. Okay, and this constructor have a parameterized HTTP client, and get user method correspond to the observable user detail, and it will return the get request using the user detail class, which will import here, right? And this will, so API URL contains up to this, that is port number and the route prefix here, and this is called contains the route, which is nothing but this one. So this is the action method which we have created in our web API application. So this is the code for user.service.ts. This is basically for calling the web API. Okay, so let's discuss about our dependency npm in app.modal.ts file. So select here app.modal.ts. So these are the dependencies we need to import. Okay, and in the ng model declaration array, we need to add these component values, and here imports array whatever the you have used the models import statement, right? So these are the things we some modules we need to add inside the imports model. Providers array contains nothing, and Bootstrap as the app component, and the export class app model. So these are the dependencies we need to add for node package manager in app.modal.ts file. So here most important part is for Angular material, right? For toolbar, table, select, checkbox, dialog, input, and this is the component, user component, app component, and this is the HTTP client model, and the user details component, and browser animation model. So this is the code for app.modal.ts. So we need to calling the selector page on our parent page. Okay, so go to my VS Code, open the app.component.css. so there is no such as CSS required. App.component.html. So we need to add this selector here as per my step. Need to add the calling the selector page. So this selector is nothing but available in our user.component.html, sorry, user.component.ts file, right? The selector here. Also we can check the selector here for user.detail component.ts. So this selector name is user app-user-detail, but we need to add the selector for user component here. Okay, so we'll check here app.component.html, which we will calling the selector for user component. So this is all about for app.component.html. So app.component.ts, so nothing like code is by default code is added here. app.component.spec.ts not required, and app-routing.modal.ts, this is the by default code. Here is no changes required here. This I already have covered. Okay, and go to your index.html. So this is the code for index.html. We need to add the app-root with your closing and opening and closing tag, and this body class we need to add this mat-typography. And if you check your style.css, so this is the code for style.css. Okay, so I already covered for step 14, calling the selector page or parent page. Set cross origin resource sharing. So cross origin resource sharing, I will show that step also in my web API project. So go to my web API project. Okay, so here in my NuGet package I need to install this as package for NuGet for course, that is microsoft.spnet.course, which I already have shown you earlier. So how to set up? Go to your app_start folder. Okay, and here this file name is webapi.config.cs. So here we need to modify the register method by adding this line of code for set the course or cross origin resource sharing. Okay, so for that we need to add this namespace, and this one course we need to assign this course attribute. These 3 stars are nothing but origin, header and method, and using the config we need to enable course method. It usually enable the support for course. So this line of code we need to ask for enabling the course for our web API project to implement the to call the web API in Angular application. Okay, so yeah, so that's all about the steps from creating web API to calling web API in your Angular project, and what are the Angular project and its components, services and class, and all its related file structures required for this application. We need to check for output. So let's go to my Angular application. Here we need to type as ng-solve. So guys, my Angular application is compiled successfully. I'll copy this URL and go to here, click on new tab, and I'll browse this. So see here, I'm getting all these records, whatever the records is showing here in a web API response. I'm getting the same response here: user ID, username, email ID and mobile number. So there is one details you can see for each row. If you select the detail of user ID 9, so I'm getting the user ID 9 detail, user ID 9 details here: username, email ID, gender, address, mobile number and pin code, and there is one close button. If you select close button, it will close. Same here for, we'll check the user whose ID is 12. So see here the user details for ID 12 here, and same here for user ID is 1017. So I'm getting the details for user whose ID is 17, and 1027 user ID. If you select the user ID whose 1027 user detail, so user ID, username, mail ID, gender, address, mobile number and pin code, and there is a close button of dialog. If you select the close, it will close this dialog. Okay, so guys, that's all about how to implement web API project and call the web API in our Angular material, and what are the details we will see here, how to show in your Angular dialog box using Angular material and Bootstrap. So here we have learned how to perform an operation to get the details of a particular user in pop-up or modal dialog in Angular and Angular material using web API and SQL Server. Okay, and we started creating the Angular application and web API application, and use that web API in our Angular application, and install the Bootstrap to for responsive design, and also we have installed the Angular material and use the get details and particular get details method to the HTTP request. So that's all about the steps for to work to get the user details on Angular dialog box in Angular material using web API. Let's go to my presentation. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.